I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. You've been a really big factor in my social media life recently, and I'm just really excited that you offered to be on today and learn a little bit more about Restream and share with our audiences some tricks and tips and any other undercover suggestions you might have for us to be successful in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the invite.
So tell us a little bit about what you do and how we can benefit from your expertise and learn from you.
Yeah. So like Kevin said, my name's Chris. I am a live stream producer and coach. So I can produce your shows for you, do a top to bottom full service deal, or I can train you how to live stream like I did with Kevlin. Either like in a one-on-one setting, or I also have like group coaching where I do like a boot camp where it's 8 or 10 people and we go for 4 sessions and I teach you everything you need to know. I got into live streaming 2 years ago and I just fell in love with it because it was such a great way to build a community. Like it's a blast when you're live and you're having a conversation with someone and people are in the comments and it's like a party, and it's just I fell in love with it. And began to see how amazing it was at establishing yourself. I hate the term thought leader, but establish yourself as like a thought leader or someone who knows what they're talking about. Um, Plus, you just get to have good conversations. It kind of broadens your horizons. And Kevlin and I wouldn't have met if she hadn't been interested in live streaming. Um, and I've had made some really great friends, just people I've never talked to before until I got them on my live stream. They caught my eye on LinkedIn or whatever, and now we're friends because they came on the show one time. So it's an amazing tool. It's an amazing way to build your personal brand, and I knew I wanted to help people. One, do it and do it well, um, and two, not make all the same mistakes I did right in the very beginning. Back whenever I started live streaming, there wasn't anybody out there that was really producing or training other people because it was kind of new on LinkedIn. A lot of people were familiar with Facebook Live. You just go live straight from Facebook and talk about whatever. But actually being able to use a software like Restream where you can bring guests in and presentations and videos and actually create and craft a show, a media show to talk about whatever your expertise is or whatever your field is just absolutely amazing.
No, that's great, great stuff. The word that really caught my attention was craft. And
Craft. Yep.
so how you've helped me as a marketing strategist is I was able to now escalate my presence
Hmm.
in a live format where not only is it live, but it can be restreamed. I'm played forever and
Replayed.
ever on various platforms. And to craft your brand, and we're going to get into that a lot more about how to build your brand and your audience. But for me as a marketer and someone that makes a living building business and creating awareness for executives and companies, to have
Hmm.
this platform be able to really get my brand and what I want to do out there a lot more effectively and efficiently.
Hmm.
And it's something that I was terrified of at first. And I think that that's another thing as a photographer. I can take pictures and I can be taken pictures of, but when
Yeah.
that red recording light is on, it is a whole different game. And
It is.
I've been shooting for many years, but when I started to get into the social media deal and really make this my career, that live recording, it was definitely something that I struggled with, and I was really surprised at how much I did struggle with because of the
Yeah.
live recording. It was like, what do you do? What do you say? And I went in and I found the teleprompter, and that wasn't a good fit for me. And I
Hmm.
feel, and you would probably agree with me, is the more you do it, the more it gets easier.
For
And this is
sure.
I'm like
Yep.
addicted to it now. I can't I'm really looking forward to keeping this going and
Yeah.
to craft this brand any way you want to take it, and to be able, like you said, to create presentations, to create videos, to meet people that you wouldn't have necessarily met had it not been this way of doing things. And I feel that COVID really helped propel that
It did.
technology, where all right, Zoom was great, but give me more features and options
Yeah.
besides that. And so obviously this was born, but you've been great for me, and I can't thank you enough for helping me get through my hump of getting started on this. So for both of us, you can go to our LinkedIn pages. Underneath our profile picture, our contact information to get a hold of Chris, to find out more information about his coaching services, and for me as well to find out about how I can help you and your company grow your brand and audience as well through strategic marketing. So let's get started,
Yes.
and let's talk
Let's do
about
it.
the soup to nuts about Restream. And really, if you're a beginner or if you're an intermediate user, and like with anything else, if you've been using Excel, there's certainly plenty of things to learn about Excel, even if you've been doing it for 20 years. So I'm really excited about this. And I feel that, again, if you've been doing Restream or just new to Restream, Chris
Mhm.
Hennessey is your guy. And again, I'm just so pleased to have you on today. So take it from here, Chris.
All right. So I want to answer a question real quick. Chuck asked a question. Also, I see you, Sultan, over on Twitch. Good to see you, man. It's been a long time. So Chuck said, when will Restream fix the issue of audio sync when importing into Adobe Premiere Pro? So I've never used Adobe Premiere Pro. I use Wave.video or CapCut whenever I'm doing my videos. So I'm not familiar with that issue, Chuck. And I haven't heard anybody else complain about it. So I don't really know what's going on there. So sorry, I really can't answer that one for you. But like Kevin said, Restream is a great tool. It allows you to bring guests in. It allows you from one platform to be able to multi-stream to multiple platforms. So like right now, I have my YouTube. So hang on, let me back up. I don't know where all Kevlin's streaming to. I know LinkedIn because we're on LinkedIn, but she can connect her Facebook, her YouTube, her Twitch, her Twitter, wherever she wants to go to her dashboard. It also allows your guest, I'm the guest today, so it allows me to pair my Restream account with this broadcast, and I am streaming to YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and Twitter right now. So we're on 4 social media channels on my side, and however many Kevlin has. So it really allows you from one platform from the same amount of time to reach multiple platforms as well as your guest platform. So like Kevlin is being exposed to my audience right now. I'm being exposed to her audience right now. Right. So it's like this great big trifecta of exposure and reach, all from one platform, all from 30 to 45 minutes a week. You can you can create yep, Regina. So this session is being recorded. It is on it'll be available for a replay on LinkedIn. Your recordings, if you have a paid version of Restream, it will also record it in the cloud for you. You can download that recording and pull clips out of it, a 1 to 3 minute clip for a social media clip. You can download the audio and publish it as a podcast. Or if you wanted to publish it as a video podcast, you could do that too. You can also, if you wanted to, transcribe it and turn it into a blog post. One of my clients does that. So there's so much you can do with it for, if you have a weekly show, you're looking at maybe an hour a week, and then you've got all this content for days out of one 30-minute show a week. There's also a lot you can do with it as far as like you can bring in presentations. So if you have like a PowerPoint presentation that you want to show on screen while you're streaming, you can do that. If you had a video you wanted to show, I see you, Julie. Thanks for dropping in. If you had a video you wanted to show during the stream, you can bring that into the studio and do it. You can add all kinds of custom graphics to really brand your show, like with your brand colors, your brand logo. You can create custom intros and outros and upload them into the dashboard where you can play that at the beginning. I always do a custom intro that I make with, upbeat music. It has my branding, it has my logo, it has, how to get a hold of me, all that stuff. So you're feeding that into people just as soon as they come on. And it gets people fired up and ready. And, you don't want to go real long on an intro. You want to go maybe a minute, minute and a half. Then, I do like a 20-second outro. But it's just little things you can do to brand your show and actually make it a show, not just some, I'm going to pick up and go live on Instagram or Facebook on my phone. You're actually crafting and creating your own owned media assets whenever you do this. Does anybody have any questions so far? I feel like I'm kind of rambling.
I think all that is everything about this, Chris, is amazing, and maybe we could have a follow up where we can maybe go through the steps of the intros and outros and
Mm-hmm.
what that looks like, and maybe just
Okay.
go through a basic training, a real quick, speedy training, so that people can really see the different settings and features and such. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that that we could have a lot of fun with. But no,
Okay.
this is great. You're right. And to be
Okay.
able to send that hyperlink, and you could put it in an email. You could, I mean, there's so many things with that. You could DM
Mm-hmm.
it, the DM. There's so much even beforehand where you're doing the invitations. You could send the link to as many folks as you want to attend the show, not that
Yeah.
to attend as a guest, but to attend the show. And then obviously with the different features on Restream, you've got the different seats, right? How many different guests that you have. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously that is a pay per play. And so the
Yeah.
more guests you want to have on, the more it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
But it's really something. And it's, all of those guests, it's virtually free. I mean, if you look at the cost of doing Restream, and if you do these, you could do them as many times a day as you want for X
Yep.
amount of dollars, whatever the plan is
Yep.
per year. It's really a machine that is pretty crazy. And let me ask you something with the clips on the links. Can you go back and edit that somewhere? Is that maybe what Chuck is talking about, where you can go in and
So he
grab
was talking
clips?
about, it looked like, I think what he was talking about was after you download the recording out of Restream and then try to put it in Adobe Premiere. Um, but like I said, I've never used Premiere. There's no way to get it directly from Restream to Adobe. You've got to download it and then upload it. So I'm really not familiar with what he was talking about there.
Gotcha. But this is good stuff. So, Chuck is my friend, and we had a little snafu situation yesterday, and so let's talk about the basics of, again, if you're a beginner or if you're an intermediate in this,
Mm-hmm.
what are some basics that you can give somebody, even if it's a Zoom or a Teams meeting, some steps that they can really go back to the basics of, browsers being open, networks, making sure your settings are correctly. Can we get into that a little bit, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
we can
Absolutely.
migrate from there?
Yep. So just like Kevlin was saying, she had some snafus yesterday. She got it all figured out. But what it boiled down to is like she was trying to run Restream on Firefox. I don't know anybody other than Kevlin that's ever done that. To me, like I've had everybody I know runs it on Chrome or Edge. It really likes Chrome, or it likes Safari too, I believe, on a Mac, but it really likes Chrome. So I always run Restream on Chrome. Before I go live, every time I restart my computer and I close all my tabs out. That is vitally important. I know it's a pain in the ass because you've got your whole life is on in 1,000 open tabs right there. But it is vitally important you do that because those tabs are running in the background while you're streaming. So they're sucking up bandwidth. It's really important if you're on Wi Fi. Um, you want to be as close to the Wi Fi router as you can, and you want to disconnect other devices from your Wi-Fi router and make sure your husband or your kids or somebody is not in the other room watching Netflix or playing a game or whatever, because all of that stuff is eating up your bandwidth. Um, and you want to make sure that you have enough bandwidth to push the stream. It doesn't require a whole lot. It usually requires somewhere between 15 and you really want somewhere at least a minimum of 15 upload speeds. But you want it uninhibited. You want a steady bandwidth strength whenever you're trying to do this. Close all your tabs or restart your computer. Close all your tabs. When I'm streaming, I have Restream open right here, and I have LinkedIn on my other monitor so I can look at the chat and make sure it's doing good. LinkedIn's my primary platform, so that's why I have it up over here. You're right, Julie. The one time you don't restart it or don't close all your tabs, you're going to regret it because it's just going to be a crap show.
Yeah.
You really don't need any equipment to get started. I always tell people if you're using not having fancy equipment as an excuse to not start, you can throw that out the window. If you have a laptop, it's got a built-in camera and a built-in mic. It's not the greatest, but just do the thing. Just do it. You can upgrade later. I started out with this $35 Amazon webcam. The picture on it is terrible. I didn't have a mic because it's got a built-in mic. And you can tell on some of my older streams that it was not the greatest equipment, but I did it and I upgraded over time. Yeah, just hit record. Exactly, Chuck. Just hit record, just hit go live. Just do it. Don't let the lack of fancy equipment. And I don't know a live stream producer or trainer anywhere that says any different. Just do it and you can upgrade later. If you're going to buy anything first, the very first thing you buy is a mic. You want your sound quality to be really, really good. Your video can be a little off, it can not be the best quality, but if they can't hear you, they're not going to stick around for the live stream. Then you can upgrade, your camera and all that kind of stuff later on. But always, if you're going to invest in stuff, get a mic. I always recommend, if you're on a budget for $100, you can get the Blue Yeti. If you really want to go more than that, for $250 and up, you can get a USB mic like a Shure MV7 or a Rode Podcaster. They're both great mics. They're both USB mics. And they're plug and play. Like they're super simple to use. Go ahead.
Well, the neat thing too is when Chuck and I we reconvened this morning and we were able to actually test our situation on you and my show. So that was neat. So behind the scenes, when you've got the event running, you can go in there and multiple to make sure that the technical issues are working or not. And, in our case, it was such a bonus to be able to go on to an upcoming show and have it be almost like playground, if you will, to like, okay, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I think too, when people get started with this, you're plugging in things to your computer that you might not be really familiar with the input output USB situation out back. So I definitely recommend working with somebody that is a little bit more computer savvy, because you can have a switched and not have any functionality, whether it's video or audio. And I consider myself pretty good around the computers, but I was duped yesterday completely. So having that studio sitting in the background up until the time of showtime was really huge, and that was a really neat trick. And so let's get into, so I want to do my first restream, Chris. What do I do? I don't know anything about this. So I know that you and I met through Amy, and you guys had become friends. I feel that you guys probably worked together before that. And so I found you because I knew that this was going to be the next progression for my career, to be able to go live and to be able to have these things running in the background 24/7, because that's key as a salesperson, right? But when I first met you, I knew how to do Zoom, but to actually go through setting up the restream, your restream, and the bells and whistles, and which plan that you wanted, which plan will you actually need, and you might not want to go with the cheap route. Just hit record when you sign up for the plan. Go with the bigger version, because it does give you a lot more functionality out the gates.
It does.
Of frustrated, pulling your hair out, trying to make something work that it's not in your plan, and they kind of obviously do that on purpose. But when I met you and we went through your coaching program, I still refer to those notes. And I think that that's been a really big thing for me to refer to. And it's been super helpful. And you've been great too. I know that, we went through the coaching program, but I know that you've answered questions late at night and early in the morning. And that is such a great customer service that you do offer with that. So tell us a little bit about your coaching program and how, let's talk about your coaching program and maybe the elements that you teach. And so maybe we can answer some questions if people are curious about what you have to offer and how you might be able to help.
Yeah. So on my coaching programs, it's basically whether you do the one-on-one or whether you do the group, the boot camp. It's basically the same thing. You obviously get some when it's one-on-one, you get one-on-one time. You get to ask all the questions. You don't have to fight for uh, airspace or whatever. And not that you do in a group setting. There's usually plenty of time to do it, but it's basically the same thing. And we go through how to set up Restream, how to set up your equipment, what kind of equipment to get. If you're going to buy equipment, I don't ever make any of my clients go out and buy stuff before we get started because, like I said earlier, just hit the damn button, just do it. But then I'll make equipment recommendations. If they want to buy it, I tell them what I use, and give them some options. I have nice stuff, but I also give a little more budget friendly options that are just fine, like the Yeti microphone versus the Shure microphone, or the Elgato face cam versus the Razer Keo. There's $60 or $80 difference in those, but they're still both great cameras. Set up Restream. We talk about strategies for success, like how to get your stream out there in front of people. One of the biggest things, no matter what platform you're on, LinkedIn is my primary platform. I understand how streaming works on it. I understand the algorithm. I don't understand the algorithm. I understand how to get people to come to your shows. But no matter what platform you're on, if you're not active there, you can't think that you're just going to go live and people are just going to start showing up, right? You've got to be active. You have to be building relationships. It's just like, everybody knows with posting on LinkedIn, you have to engage some to get some, right? So you want to make sure that you've kind of been engaging and posting and people kind of know who you are a little bit. Otherwise, nobody's going to show up. I see people all the time that post a lot, but they don't engage on other people's posts. They don't get engagement. And when they go live, nobody shows up. So you have to kind of put in a little bit of work to get people to show up for your show. So that's one of the big things on that. We talk about, how to invite people, how to set up the events. It does, Julie. It takes a lot of time to build that community. And then we take a deep dive into Restream. And when I say set up Restream, that's different than how to run it. So setting it up means like connecting your social media channels to it, setting up your account and all that kind of stuff. So then when we get ready to go into Restream, we take a deep dive on how to work all the features, what you can do in it, pulling presentations in, PowerPoints, pulling pictures in, sharing your screen, setting up your branding, how to bring, custom intros and outros. And I saw Chuck had a question about intros and outros earlier. I use wave.video for mine. If you already have Adobe Premiere Pro, you can use that. It's a little more robust, a lot more robust than Wave.video. Wave.video is fairly inexpensive, and they've got just a ton of like background templates and fonts and all kinds of cool stuff. Thousands and thousands of royalty-free tracks, music tracks for your background music and all that, or the intro music. How to bring the intros and outros in, how to get your guests. So, like, if Kevin was going to be a guest on my show, there's a link that she has to click to get there, show you where that is, how to get people in as guests, how to promote the event, how to invite people, I call them pop-up lives because they're unplanned. Sometimes I just want to go live without creating an event. I have something on my mind I want to chat about, walk you through how to do that. And then we go through some very basic like graphic stuff. I'm not a graphic designer, but I do show you like I do all my promo thumbnails on Canva, show you how to do, if you don't know how, show you how to do promo thumbnails on Canva. I kind of hit a little bit sometimes if we have time, how to do like intros in Canva. That's like trying to teach how to create intros and outros would be a whole separate class. Because there's just so much that goes into it. And it's just really time consuming to teach that in the boot camp or in the one-on-one training. Teach you how to download your recordings after. and then answer any questions you have. So by the time you get done, you will know what you need to do to create. And like my production services are based on a weekly show. So whenever I'm producing for someone, it's based on a weekly show at the same time and the same day. That's another key point, is to be consistent with it. Um, my viewers jumped way up when I started doing my shows at the same day and time every week. I used to bounce around all over the week. I'd adjust it to fit my guest schedule, and sometimes I still do. If a guest just can't do it at my time, I may do a special one that week just for that one. I try real hard not to, though, because when I was bouncing around, nobody ever knew when I was live. I'd get DMs all the time. Hey, where were you on Tuesday? I was waiting on you. Well, I went live on Thursday this week,
Right.
So the consistency is really important too, to get people to show up. But my production services are based on a weekly show, same time and day. So that's kind of how I train too, is how to do a weekly show and promote it. But then I also cover, some people don't want to do that. And that's the beauty of live streaming. It's your show, it's your social media. I train you how I do it, but I also train you how to do it so you know how to do it whenever you want to. If you only want to do once a month, do once a month. If you just want to do it at random times because that's what fits your schedule best, then do it. It's your show, it's your live stream, and you can do whatever you want to with it.
Well, what's nice about you too, Chris, is I don't know any other restream expert on LinkedIn or in my life, really. And so it's such a peace of mind knowing that I've got my A team right there
Yeah.
in a pinch, and you were. And I want to say, Chris, you know, during my situation that was happening yesterday, Chris, I said, what camera do I need, just in case it's the camera, maybe it's dead, maybe it died or what have you. And he sent me a real quick link, and within 2 hours, I got 2 hours on Amazon. I got this thing. So
Yeah.
it's I've never
And
gone to
that's the
Amazon.
camera. That's the camera I use. That's the exact camera I have.
Yeah. So if you're all interested to see what Chris uses, this is the guy.
I need
And
I need to get Elgato to give me an affiliate link for that, because I don't know how many people have bought that camera because I told them that's the one they needed to buy.
and in 2 hours too. I couldn't believe
Yeah,
it. It's like
right.
they knew the sense of urgency or something, because I again, I couldn't believe it. Like I told you earlier, we thought it was someone about to break into our house. It was the Amazon guy at, whatever time it was. And so no, and it is, and it is. You're the expert in the field of Restream, and you've got a great following. Your followers love you, and you've been, I'm sure, instrumental in so many people's Restream efforts. So so your boot camp, now I know that you and I went through it, and it was great. You were
Hmm.
really accommodating to my schedule and Forrest's schedule as well. And it was on point. You had an agenda. We stayed on target. We feverishly wrote notes, and we did it, and it was in a live format, so we actually got to go
Yeah.
through it with you, which
Yep.
that was huge. And so the boot camp, or the coaching, the boot camp, if you will, it's live and there's shared screens. So
Hmm.
if the student asked any questions, Chris, you were able to answer it right away, and to show it. And I would also say too, something that you suggested a long time ago is, don't even bother with the free restream. That is no bueno. You're stuck
No,
with
and I'm
the
glad you
logos,
yeah, you're
right?
stuck with the logos. Yep, you have a Restream watermark right here whenever you have the free
I don't
version.
have one.
No, you don't. But also it does not record your shows.
Oh,
Uh, so you don't have access to your recordings after that. You can't download it. Like, I don't do much with mine. I clip my recordings sometimes. I got a wild beard here or there. I clip it sometimes and post it to social media. But I download all my recordings and put them on an external hard drive, because those are owned media assets.
oh, that's
The
right.
cheapest version of Restream is $19 a month. That's the one I have. It does everything I want it to do. I haven't upgraded yet because uh, I only stream to 4 channels, and LinkedIn does not support anything higher than 720p for your video quality. So it doesn't do me any good really for me, it doesn't do me any good to upgrade and be able to stream in 1080 because LinkedIn doesn't support it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why I stick with the cheaper one. Um, I may eventually upgrade. But right now, like $19 a month, and I can go live literally if I wanted to stream 24 hours a day, I could.
And if you look at the value, right? If
Yeah.
it wasn't for Restream, you'd have to hire a photographer, a videographer, a lighting person, a studio person, probably a set director to knock out maybe a 3-minute video that took 10 minutes to do that took 3 months to plan. And
Mm-hmm.
this is I mean, this is almost as good as AI, honestly. Like in my
Yeah.
life, it's how could you not do this? It's been great. And um so yeah, I really feel that this is such a marketing asset that if you're in what I
Yes.
don't care what you're selling or what your offer is or what line of industry or work you're doing, that if it's banking, if it's healthcare, if it's commercial, if it's construction, this is really something people, hey, that's my friend, I know them, let's go support them. And I've also created a lot of really neat relationships from
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn and this. And once I started using Restream, it really it began to really I saw the numbers, and Chuck
Yeah.
would agree too. We saw the numbers from our show yesterday that I wasn't able to join, but it was something. And the consistency is you hit the nail on the head on that one, because with anything else, right, with the consistency, and there is a lot of preparation. So these are no joke. You really have
Yeah.
to do the research. Obviously, you've got to sync up with your guest, or if you're the guest, you
Mm-hmm.
provide the host with information about, or like we're kind of doing today, we're kind of winging it because I feel that we knew each other. I knew that we both
Yeah.
agreed we were going to talk about just some basics and such, but
Mm-hmm.
it really is such an amazing resource not to take advantage of. And so Chris, so tell me, what happens if you get a new client that is scared to be on camera? Like, how do you
Um,
help them through that?
so really just kind of encouraging them and boosting them up and lifting them up. For my last boot camp, I did bring in, I brought in Sri Mahabir. She's a video coach. So that is part of the boot camp now. It's not part of the one-on-one. I did that as a special add-on week for the boot camp. Um, but it's just encouraging them. And I think part of why they're scared to be on camera is they think they're going to mess up live.
Mhm.
And I have a clip, and I post it about every 2 or 3 months. Same clip of me, and it's just like 6 months ago. So it was like last fall. I had a guest on, like, and I know this person. She was my business coach. We're friends. Um, and I could not string 3 words together to make a sentence for the whole show. Like my brain and I kept losing my train of thought. And you could visit, if you're watching the clip, you can visibly see me turning red because it's like, I can't even, I'm so out of whack. I can't even, it was terrible. The whole show was like that. So everyone messes up. That's it. Everyone messes up online. You just move on. And I post that clip just so people will see that even people
Yeah.
who have been doing this for a long time still mess up. I've done over 100 live streams. A lot of them would guess I've never talked to before, and I don't have show notes. I wing it through every single one of them. So I feel like I'm fairly decent at creating an engaging show. That's how I like to do it. I like to wing it. Um, but every once in a while, crap just happens, and your brain isn't going to work, your mouth isn't going to work, but it makes you relatable. To me, it makes you relatable. It adds to the human side of you. It doesn't show you as this polished, perfect, talking head all the time. It shows the real you, and people wanted. I want to do business with real people.
Yep.
I don't like people that always come across perfect and polished. I like raw. I like real. Um, so for me, it just kind of humanizes you. And people always, your guests don't care if you mess up. Your guests don't care nearly as much as you do. They don't, because they understand that crap happens. It bothers you a whole lot more than it bothers your guests or it bothers your audience. They just don't care. So just roll on with it. Just do it.
Those are such great suggestions too, and I think I have a forever friend in Chuck from yesterday because he carried on with the show without me, and it was like you said, things happen, and you've got to be able to prepare for that. But if it's a complete disaster, you also have to, as a guest and a host, agree that like let's just ditch this. This
Mm-hmm.
is probably not, or obviously if someone's sick. The other thing too that I didn't realize until I created my first event was when you create an event and it populates to LinkedIn, you can't take that back. So you can't edit it and delete it and remove it from LinkedIn. It's embedded. It's on there.
You can delete it.
Oh, okay. Because I did a test and it was ridiculous, and it wasn't even anything but me talking to my monitor, and it went up, and I'm like, whatever, I can't do anything about it now. But
Oh, you mean after it's live? Yeah, I don't
yeah,
think you can after it's live. That's really weird. You can
yeah.
delete it before you go live, but afterwards you can't delete it, and that's really
Right.
weird.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
I
it's on
think,
there
if I
somewhere. But
remember right.
again, it's the mistakes that you happen, and yesterday, obviously we learned a lot as a team, and then you helped me greatly to understand what it could have been. And we realized, we talked earlier on about closing down browsers, making sure this is and that's, and but yeah, I think that I'd love to have you on, and the gal that you had mentioned too about the video coaching. I think
Mm-hmm.
to bring further awareness to this, and I know that you would agree too, where there's however many 70 million people on LinkedIn and 3 million are actually creating content. There's
Mm-hmm.
definitely room to share this knowledge. And
Mm-hmm.
again, you're the Restream guy that I know. And oh, let's talk about lighting and backgrounds, and
Okay.
maybe some uplighting in the background, maybe some
Yep.
gimmicks that you would maybe discourage or encourage somebody to have.
Okay.
As a photographer, I understand a lot of this, and it's still not correct, but I think we all should post what our setup actually looks like. I think that would
Yeah.
be pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
to
for sure.
you know
So when it comes to lighting, I have a 2 light setup right now. If you only have one light, if you just have a ring light, then what you want to do is move it over to the side 45 degrees, raise it up as high as it'll go, and then tilt it down about 45 degrees. And if you look, I have it as a accent light, but see how that's raised up and tilted down?
Yep.
That's the exact angle I had it on when I had it on my face. And I just use it as an accent light now. I have, you can't see it.
I like the floor lights that you have too. Those
Yeah,
are
you can see that light right there on the wall.
yep.
That's like an $18 light from Amazon. It controls with your phone. It's LED. I have it stuck on the wall with command strips, and then that orange light over my other shoulder is one of the same lights that I have just sitting on the floor shining up. I have LED strip lights changing colors behind the desk. Um, all that's just extra though. Like, um, I like colorful backgrounds. The studio I'm building at home is going to be really nice. It's got, faux brick wallpaper that looks kind of industrial, and I'm going to have some shelving with lights on it, and it's really going to set up really nice. This is my day job office, so I don't put a whole lot in here. I'm not going to put a whole lot of money into making it look good when it's not mine.
But
And
it's
then I
the
have, like, whenever I'm full screened, you can see it, but like that's my hashtag. So I did a thing on that, and I have a skull with a light in it that kind of lights up. But um, you can do it really inexpensively. Like, especially, a lot of people at home, they're doing this like in a corner of their office or something like that, or a corner of their room is where their desk is. One of these floor lights, like that orange light that's right there on the floor behind me, shining up, makes a big difference.
it totally does.
And you could even do a white. Like if you didn't want a color, you could just do a white light, and you can adjust the brightness of it. So for $20, you can totally change your background and just make it pop just a little bit. Just
Yep.
one light in the
Yep.
corner shining up is like a game changer on making your streams look really eye appealing.
and just, keep it simple too. And like you said,
Super simple.
for $60, you could have something that shows your background. It just makes a little bit pop, and
Yeah.
my eyes are attracted to just
Mm-hmm.
something a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
You could also get more crafty where, if you've got a nice west facing sunlight room that's got
Right.
white walls, good for you, but most of us don't. And it's one of those things. But if you were to keep it just simple, shower curtains, go get yourself some copper tubing and create a 10 foot by
Yes.
10 foot square and clamp that to it, and where it's mobile, so
Yes.
it's not impeding your mobility in your house or your office setup, or if you want to
Yep.
change it up. I mean, those things are $13. That
Yeah, they're
it's
cheap.
quite
And like
something.
if you Google or search on Amazon for Zoom backgrounds, there are a ton of material backgrounds out there for less than $25.
Like this
That you can,
one.
yeah, like that one that you can stretch across a frame. You can hang it
Yep.
on your wall. You can build a PVC pipe frame for it or something really inexpensive and put it behind you. And nobody ever has to know that it's
Nobody
a
knows.
janky looking PVC pipe frame.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
knows because it's not showing. So for, $25, you can have something really cool. You put one light on the bottom shining up on it and boom, there you go.
That's awesome. So Chuck has a question. I'm going to go back
He
to
did.
his, because
He had a couple of them.
I like Chuck. Chuck is a good guy. Regarding Instagram,
Yep.
did you get
So
that
that's,
one?
yep, I did. That is brand new, Chuck. That's probably a month old in Restream. You have not been able to stream to Instagram or TikTok from Restream until then. Apparently, they don't have it set up where like their APIs are talking to each other because you have to pull the stream key from Instagram into Restream. There's no easy way to connect it right now because it's still in the beta phase. If you look at it, it says beta. Um, I would assume, this is totally assumption here, I would assume that they're working on getting it to where you can connect it like LinkedIn and YouTube. Um, they would be dumb not to on Restream side. And it may
Well,
be an Instagram thing why it doesn't let you do that. I don't know because I'm not on Insta, but they don't make it easy to do Instagram or TikTok in
Chuck,
Restream.
Chuck, I think we need to have Chris on our show at some point.
He had another question about USB versus XLR mics. So XLR mics are always going to be a higher quality sound. But honestly, man, like if you've got a decent mic, a USB mic is going to be good because if you have an XLR mic, you also have to have the audio interface to go with it so that it will connect to that, then connect to your computer, and that's another expense. Almost everyone I know uses a USB mic. I know a few people that have like a Rodecaster, have an audio interface, and they use the XLR. You are going to get a little bit better quality sound, but most people watching are not going to be able to notice.
And if you're a beginner, make sure that you have somebody double check your connections because it can get pretty screwy pretty fast if you're plugging stuff in and you don't know what you're doing and
Yeah.
such. And I really like the reboot suggestion early on that you said
Yeah. Just
about,
restart it.
just
Make
restart
sure
it.
you don't have things running in the background too. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but like, you had Teams running in the background.
Yep.
Make sure, look at all your little icons on the taskbar and make sure none of them have a little are lit up. You got Spotify and Teams and, you've got 1,000 Excel spreadsheets open and all that's eating up power from your computer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
You're an XLR guy. Like whenever I finally get in my home studio, I'll probably make the switch over to XLR here. I do the live streaming stuff part time. I still have a day job. I'm growing it into something that I do. So I do it all from my work office. I don't have room to set up all that kind of stuff here. I'll eventually go to XLR though, Chuck.
Well, we look
For
forward to
sure.
seeing your progression with that, Chris, and I'm excited
Yeah.
to see what your studio looks like. Chuck
Yeah.
just got a new studio, so he's going to be dialing that out to surprise us with the
Nice.
outcome. But no, this has been great. I know that we've gone a little bit over, but this is such a great discussion and such a valuable topic to keep in the forefront. And again, you've definitely cornered the market here with your expertise and really bringing this resource to our lives in a layman's
Yeah.
format, right? And
I,
to be able
I,
to piggyback off that and use it in our own lives and our own careers and such. So I just want to
yeah.
say thank you for your time, Chris. And if there
Thank you
you
for
want to
having
give
me.
yourself a shameless plug, is
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again for having me. Like y'all heard me say, I do one-on-one training. I do boot camps that are group training. I can do full production for you. If you want to visit my website, it's www.hitproductions.live. You can sign up for my email list there if you want to. I'm super inconsistent with it, so I promise you, you will not get spammed with anything coming from me. Maybe once a month, but I put out live streaming tips and tricks. Um, I do have a boot camp coming up. I have not set a date for it yet, but hopefully within the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'll be starting. It's $500, y'all. 4 sessions, and you're ready to go. So if you want if you're interested in live streaming and you want to know more, connect with me on LinkedIn, shoot me a DM. I'm more than happy to get on a Zoom with you and talk about it and talk about, you know, how help you strategize for it. And then we can talk about whether you wanted to, be trained on it or whatever. So yeah, Kevlin, I appreciate you having me on. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you for your time, Chris, and look forward to checking in with you soon. And thanks
Yeah,
again for your time. Appreciate it.
you bet.
All right, take
Bye,
care.
y'all.